Welcome to the table. Welcome to the grown folks table. Are you all ready to have some grown folks table conversation tonight? I'm so
Yes.
excited to be here with my wonderful co-host, and we're talking about mentorship at the table. Many people are trying to figure out this whole concept of mentorship. Did you have a mentor? Are you mentoring? Where did mentoring come from? How important is mentorship? And what's the difference between mentorship and sponsorship? And so I think these wonderful women here are going to help us unpack this tonight because during Women's History Month, many women are trail making some wonderful blazing some wonderful trails. And a lot of them are saying that they have made it because they've had a mentor. Somebody tonight jump in and tell me if you had a mentor to help you in throughout your career or just self-discovery through womanhood. I could actually go first, actually. So one thing I always say, because I am, as Libby says a lot, a woman that wears many hats, I've had the opportunity to walk on different journeys. And a lot of times people ask, well, how do you do certain things? And so I would like to say, as far as being a woman in ministry, I did have something called a mentor, someone that kind of showed me the ropes, who sat down and talked to me about being a husband, being a wife to a pastor. And so pastor, actually it was Pastor Tanya Kroom. I served her as armor bearer. And so in that walk of life, she was my mentor. When I mean down to which pantyhose you need to wear with which suit. I mean, she was just that particular. And, how to be a wife, and how to keep your house and how to be a mother to your children and how to balance all of those things and being a woman of prayer and to cover your husband. Oh my God, she always talked about that. And so for me, that was my first interaction of mentorship. That was my first up close and personal. And so I became a mentee out of serving her in a armor bearer type relationship. Anybody else have anything to share about mentorship if you've had a mentor at some point in your life?
I want to jump in. I didn't I didn't with knowledge, but if that makes sense. I like I mentioned once before in a conversation that we've had in some previous podcasts. There was a woman that I gravitated to in my career that once mentorship became a popular thing, then I was like, okay, Miss Ella Mays was my mentor because she did tell me the ins and outs of the business and how to maneuver my way in it so I can stay in it. So she was a mentor to me later on after I understood that this was something that was needed in my career. But I honestly have to say, outside of my parents and, my mom saying, did what you gonna do and you gonna do it. I didn't have a direct influence like that. And I wanted to ask the question, so when did it become a big thing? It's a great thing, don't get me wrong, but when did it become a big thing? And I was like, how did I miss that?
I think it has a lot to do with relationship building amongst women. In the African American community, I noticed that it was more predominantly in other cultures and other communities. They had a mentor to help them in different aspects. But I noticed within us because women had it's a long journey before because they didn't receive it. You said you didn't receive a mentor. And so you're in the baby boomer generation. And so here is Generation X who did not receive, would love to receive a mentor from the baby boomer generation. And because you didn't know that was a need, you didn't know how to give it. And so a
Right.
lot of times we find it and Libby, I guess jump in freely when you get a chance. That we found it hard to find mentors from Generation X, from the baby boomers, because you all didn't receive it, so you didn't know how to give it, and you didn't know we needed it. Go ahead,
Vicky. I want to just say this because I want to hear what Libby has to say, because you all are in that generation together, kind of. And I'm more with Joyce and Dolores, because I didn't have a mentor either. Professional mentor, I've never had one, and yet I've always longed for one. I always longed for a professional mentor, but I never did. And I really believe the reason why I never had one is because I had the type of personality and work ethic. I always appeared to know what I was doing. I was a hard worker. I had work ethic. And so people were somewhat intimidated by that and didn't think I needed help. That's just what I've discovered over the years. Where I did have a mentor was I had women of God. As you described, I believe mentorship is birthed out of relationship. That's what you described about your relationship, and you walked alongside her and you sat there. So I believe it's born out of relationships. I had wonderful spiritual mentors, women of God who set me at their feet and tutored me, taught me how to pray, taught me how to be a wife, taught me how to be a woman of God. They just taught me the word of God. I didn't have that in my professional life. However, I let it bleed over into my professional life as character, to bring the character with me. And the last thing I want to say is, to have a mentor, you need to want to receive one. Not many in your generation, and I know I'm going to get beat up, are humble enough to say, I need a mentor, because they come to the table thinking they know everything, been there, done that. And I say that from a place.
You're talking about Generation X?
I'm talking about my 3 children who are in that generation. You can't tell them nothing. They know everything.
Hello.
Because here's the thing.
Everything.
Oh my gosh. Please, do not leave me out here on this.
I'm about to jump in. Here is what I believe, that the baby boomers generation, and even before, probably did not have mentors, what we would call mentors today, because it was not discoverable. The mentors at that time were just church mothers, were your neighbors, people you looked up to and gave you advice about certain things, about, as Vicky was saying, marriage, about how to be a lady. That those types of things came from there. These people were not always in the marketplace. They were not in corporate America. They may have been teachers, and so your teachers are one that was teaching you something. So that's pretty much what you would get. So you did not get what we call mentorship today, which some people have it wrong, because people are being coaches. Yes. And so that's a whole nother thing. So the mentor is not to coach you anywhere.
That's right.
The coach is the one that gets you there. The mentor just walks alongside of you from beginning to end. And the mentor is there as a guidance if you need to know if you should go left or right. The coach is there to coach you to decide for yourself if you should go left or right. Yeah. And that's the reason why people got it all wrong. All these people that are certified coaches and they're doing nothing but mentors, they need to go and learn what it is. Because that's not what it is. And that's what people did in the baby boom era. The baby boom era were actual real mentors. They were the one you went and sat down and said, you know what? I'm in a marriage and I'm not happy. And I don't know what to do. And they would say to you, child, just pray. Or they would begin to say to you, well, try to see how you can walk through that. But a coach, on the other hand, would do something different. So our era is totally different. Because we're crossing coaching and we're crossing mentorship, and it's not what we should be doing. Either you're a coach or you're a mentor. You're not both.
Yes.
They don't walk hand in hand. And so I have an issue with people who are all these certified coaches. Everybody's a certified coach. Everybody going to pay $2,000, $1,500 certified coach. Yeah. And the people who are teaching you how to be a certified coach, they do not know how to be certified coaches. So you got all these people coming out and telling people what they need to do. So people are coming out looking like their coach.
Yeah.
Sounding like their coach. moving like their coach.
Yes.
Mentors don't do that. Mentors guide you in who you are.
Yes.
You come out being you,
Yeah.
and you go back and you say, this was my mentor. He or she helped me become, and I am still becoming.
Yeah.
Yes.
A coach has to leave the game and go home. The coach does not go to duration. There's only a season for the coach.
Yeah.
That's why they get paid.
Because I remember,
Mentors don't get paid.
yeah, I remember when I remember when I had to first, I was first approached with a contract. I'm like, what in the world is this? and I'm serious. And I went to Miss Mays. I was like, she had not dealt with a contract before, but she told me about what she knew and who I need to go reach out further to in the industry about that. But I think I'm 1000% with Libby. Dr. Libby is, there's a difference in you coaching me and you mentoring me, because mentoring sometimes is just totally emotional. It's like, I'm about drained in this career. Tell me something that's gonna make me feel good about staying in this thing. And, and that's that person that said, look, this is what you need to do. So, but a coach to me is something to help me advance my career.
Yes.
But a mentor to me, and that's why I said I wish I could go back and just tell Miss Mays how she mentored me, because she was more emotional to me. I could go to her and felt comfortable about saying and sharing any and everything about the industry in which I was in.
Now, Joyce, I'm gonna come back to that advanced career part, but I want to hear from Delois on mentoring. Delois, did you have a mentor?
I too am a baby boomer, and no, I did not have a mentor. I would tell you, and I have 30 years of corporate experience, corporate background, and back then, you learned being a part of the corporation. They sent you through rigorous training. You on a fast track. You're going basically to their academy. But as far as a person, but what I will share with you, because a lot of my good friends in corporate were white men, I have to say it. And I would say, if you have to say mentor, because we weren't using the word mentor then, but they would share about how to succeed in corporate America, how you get to that next level, because there were so few Blacks in every company I worked in. I always worked when there was maybe 2, 3, 4 of us, but not, we were never in the majority. But those were my friends, those whom I learned from, those who taught me about, they know the ropes, right? I know that if I was going out for a promotion, but Lord, you don't play golf, so, you probably won't get it. They would share those things, and a lot of those things, sometimes we had to go to HR, but a mentor, I would say not, I did not. And I really heard about it more. So I would say right before I left corporate America, maybe in 2000, I think it was around 2000, I would say my last boss. Now, she tried to mentor me. She tried. She tried. I would just say that. But I think she was a good person. I learned a lot from her in the couple of years I worked with her. But just to have that mentor, that person holding me accountable, guiding me, as Libby said, that motivation, that person to motivate me. I think I was motivating myself. I think I had to do it for myself. I think I was one of those look and learn persons. That was me. Look, learn. What are the opportunities here? What can I do? I will watch other people and I would see, okay, what they're doing, and I can do it too. So I think I was my own mentor. I was mentoring myself, because I didn't know about it. I never saw it. It was never brought to me, and no one ever approached me about it. And I too, Livia, I think it's comical with these life coaches. I do. And a lot of them are the people who have been laid off for years, trying to find, and I'm not talking about anybody, but I know, of course, so many of these certified coaches.
I can't even, don't get me on.
I wish I would pay a dime.
Look, y'all gonna get. We're gonna have to have an armor bearer before we leave here tonight.
I'm not paying you a dime.
Because here is the thing. Coaches have hours and they have payments. Mentors don't. You can call your mentor at 12 midnight. You can't call your coach at 12 midnight. So that's the problem, is that people got to understand what it is. And what makes me upset about this is these people who think that this is a way to build brands and to get money and all of that. So they decide to be coaches to these people. I was in seminary. When I was in seminary, we took a class, and the class was on coaching. Do you know who mostly go through those classes? They're therapists, because therapists make the great coaches, because therapists don't try to tell you how to do it. Therapists make you figure out how you want to do it. And guess what they coached me on when I sat down? They coached me on how to get through my dissertation. That was the assignment in my class, to sit with the person who was going to be my coach, which was Reverend Jay. And Reverend Jay sat in front of me in the class, and Reverend Jay, and it was hard because we both want to mentor. We both want to tell each other. And our professor said, no, you are a coach. If Libby says, I just don't know what to do with this, your response is to be, okay, when you say you don't know what to do with that, where did that come from? How do you feel about that? And how do you think you can get past that? Then Libby has to figure out how I get past that feeling. And then once I get past that feeling, then the question comes from the coach to say, now that we've gotten to step 1, what do you think you need to do to get to step 2? That's a coach. A coach is not go home and do 5 things and come back and tell me. That's not a coach. That's a mentor. But people think it's a coach, and it's not. And that's why people are tripped up, because they're trying to do both. And that's why I encourage people. All these online people that say that they can give you a certification for a coach, that's when you should say, wait a minute, this don't make no sense. If they just throwing out coach certification for $2,000 on the online thing, and they don't have any education behind that, why are you sitting under them? Makes no sense. So if you really want to be a true coach, go audit a seminary coaching class. If you really want to do it, go audit a pastoral care class. That's how you will learn to be a coach, not through these online things. Why do you think corporate America don't have coaches? Now they have networking, and they ask the people when they come in, they ask you to get a mentor, not a coach. Mm-hmm. Because the person's not getting paid. So we just have to be careful with that. And as people who are mentees, and I'm going to be quiet, persons who are mentees, don't be so thirsty for somebody to tell you how to walk your life that you pick any and everybody, and all you end up doing is being the better part of them or the worst part of them. A lot of these people who are mentoring folk or call themselves coaching folks, these folk just want control over other people. They want to be able to manipulate people. They want folk to look like them and be like them. And I'm going on mute because I have a child in the background.
Well, another thing that I want to bring up is sponsorship. So these are the 2 different things that a lot of times that people that are looking for mentorship sometimes are looking for in their career, are really looking for sponsorship. And so that means a person that is advocating for you and opening up doors for you, and maybe even at a table brings up your name to make space for you. So you have sponsorship and you have mentorship. And sometimes people come in a mentorship relationship wanting really a sponsorship. And you see that mostly happening in a career aspect. And so I know in my particular generation, we were looking for people to make room and make space for us. We were looking for persons to sponsor us, and we didn't really find that. And a lot of times it became frustrating to say, well, in other communities, they all have sponsorships. They have people that sponsor them to say, hey, this is so and so. She is excellent at so and so. I think you should consider so and so. It wasn't until later on when I became a expert networker that I began to expand my network and found women that believed in the ideology of sponsorship. Anybody want to weigh in on that? Yes, Vicki, what were you saying?
I do. And first I'll say this, sponsorship is a new fancy term for our generation. I'm thinking, Joyce, give me a thumbs up. And Lois, give me a thumbs up. You know, the sponsorship, you know, but we get buzzwords of the century. You know, you get buzzwords. Education is full of buzzwords.
Yes.
And so, I like the concept behind it. Mm-hmm. But I think that oftentimes I'm a relationship person. I'm a relational person. I'm not a transactional person. Mm-hmm. So I can't sponsor what I don't know. Mm-hmm. And so the more you spend time with me to help me to get to know who you are, because after all, I'm putting my capital on you. I'm putting my capital on you. And I don't mind that. But, you know, there's so many people in this arena I'm in, they only affiliate with me because of the political capital. And that's detestable to me. I struggle with that. I mean, I could be like Libby, you know, it's like, I want to, you know, like, I don't need that. I don't need flattery around me. I just like real. That's why I enjoy what we do. Like Joyce saying, just some real people where you can be real. I don't want anything. I want you to be the fullness of who you are, because it makes me better. It's like that iron, it sharpens iron. And so I think the sponsorship is interesting, but I think it comes with a price. And that price is we must spend time together so you can get to know what you're sponsoring. Because I don't want it to come back on me and they say, well, you know, Vicki Turner said such and such. No. And so that's why even with my own children, I tried to make sure I raised them right so that when they left this house, they didn't bring embarrassment or shame upon the family, right? So now I don't know if they're doing it right or not, but it ain't got back home to us yet. But I just say, I think that's an interesting concept and I'm not opposed to it, but I think relationships are critical to that.
Well, go ahead, because I got something to ask Dolores. Go ahead,
because it's all new to me too, sponsorship and being in an industry for as long as I have been, 37 years in this industry. I do get a lot of people because of my heritage in it that wants me to speak for them and to, you know, encourage, you know, other brand manager or other people to, you know, look at them for access into a specific space. And I'm like Vicki is too. I mean, I don't know you, you know, and so why don't you and I get to know each other? And then that way, when I can or will speak on your behalf, because I have done that. There are people that I have gone into the room saying, this who you need to hire, or even in my hiring position have hired because of the relationship that we have had, or I know of your ability and I haven't heard anything, you know, otherwise to where I should be afraid to do so. So I think with us, this baby boomer, you know, it's a little bit difficult sometimes for us to just jump into wanting to do for a particular person based on you just connecting with me at a networking event, or because we're in the same industry, or because I think it's something for me to, I need to know who you are. And before I put my stamp of approval on you and go into the room, stand on the table for your behalf. I mean, I had to do it with my position in even bringing a woman on to my daily programming. I had to go in there saying, this is what I want, and this is the person I want to do it, and explain why, because I have had the relationship with her. So with us baby boomers, I mean, sponsorship is one thing and I'm cool with it, but I'm gonna have to know you first.
Well, Delois, you've worked with 100 Black women, and you've worked with a lot of women. Tell me, what is your perception of the sponsorship piece?
I think it's an excellent piece. And when speaking, as we talk about the 100 Black women, because we do have so many young women coming in, and we even have some millennials, which I had an opportunity to induct 6 millennials. When you think of the 100 Black women, it's an organization that majority is accomplished women, I would say over 55, 65. So you don't see a great number of millennials being even attracted to the 100 Black women, but we're seeing more and more of that right now. But when you get those millennials or the X, you need a sponsor to help them, to guide them through, because 100 is a very structural organization. And if they're not accustomed to that, because you get that when you're definitely in corporate America, you get that environment because corporate is very structural. And 100 is very similar to corporate America. So I think it's important for them to have that to succeed in an organization like 100 Black women. You can't just come in and look and see, as I was saying earlier, I'm gonna look and learn. It's more than that. You definitely need a sponsor. And a lot of times in this organization, you have to be sponsored in, and which means you have had conversation. People have to get to know you because we hold you accountable because of this person that we let into the organization based on you vouching for her. But I think it's very, very important that you have that, especially in an organization like 100. Yes.
I think it's a key component that is missing for women, especially women of color, to advance, whether it's in their personal goals or their careers or whatever their aspirations is. And so we have to get to a space where, like, relationship building is a huge part. It's a huge key component to actually wanting to sponsor. I have mentored at least 30, 40 young ladies that are now adult women. And so I started a mentoring program in a high school. And so now it's been 10 years. And so those young ladies are still there. I found that after they graduated from college, I thought, oh, Jesus, I got them through college. After I got them through college, they needed even another layer of mentorship. And that's where the sponsorship came in, where I had to then begin to say, okay, I know this young lady, I can attest for her. I can say this person can do this particular work. You should hire this person. This person's of this character. I need you to make way for this person. All this person needs, because a lot of times as women, we just need opportunities. And see, for men, you can just look like you have potential and somebody give you a job and give you opportunity. Well, women, we're so harsh. We're so critical, and we make it challenging for ourselves sometimes to navigate to certain spaces because you came through it a certain kind of way. And because you came through it a certain kind of way, then you got to get yours the way I got mine. And it's very unfortunate. No, you're in the seat because you're in the seat. And just because you're in the seat, I shouldn't have to come the same way you came. You came that way so it could be easier for me to come, And I think we miss out on those opportunities with the next generation. And so that's one of the reasons why I make sure that I have my hand on some millennial at some space, because I want them to know that they have a space at the table. And just because I had a hard time getting at the table doesn't mean I have to make it hard and challenging for them.
But
I think
This one's hot.
I think this one's hot. I think you have to go back to something very key. Please, very key that you said. You developed a relationship and you mentored them through. You started at a certain point. Of course, you know them. That's relational. And then they get through college. You don't right. You can put the stamp of approval on them, and you should by now. You also could probably say, "Don't hire her."
It is a few. It is one. I can't get it right. It is one.
But that's what's critical, and I do commend you for putting your hand in their lives at an early stage and walking them through, as Libby said, that's mentorship. You walk them through various stages of their life, and now they're blooming into womanhood, and you're there to guide even their career. That's a wonderful thing, but it started with a relationship.
And I think in my case, I tell them, the young ladies who have entrusted my experience to help them, I tell them the differences, not as a threat, but as this is what you have now. Like doing radio 37 years ago and doing radio today is so vastly different. The only common ground here is that we're talking on a microphone. That's the only common ground. But what we had to endure and what you all are doing is so different. And I tell them, you all are in a better place. You all are in a better place to move even quicker, because the only thing I had to rely on was the radio. But now you all have social media, you have Instagram, Twitter, and 15 other things is out there, Clubhouse, and everything that you got going on now that we didn't even have. But I got to still go back to what Vicki has said, is that it's still based on the relationship. That because I don't have a problem standing up for any woman. I don't have a problem getting them a job, not just in Atlanta, but Chicago, Charlotte, Florida, wherever there's an opening and you're in the space. I had a young lady who's in Kansas that we worked briefly together some years ago, and she's being awarded, and she wanted me to sit on this group to talk about the experience that she and I had based on the relationship that was developed then and what I felt about her then and how I feel about her now. So I am for women. I am for getting as many women in this industry that can speak on our behalf as I possibly can. But I still will say I am not going to put 37 years of my name on yours if I don't know you. If I don't know your capabilities, if I don't know that when you walk in that studio, that you're about to shut it down and you're not going to embarrass me or cause the FCC to snatch you off the air. So I am for sponsorship. I'm for mentorship, but I'm 100% behind developing the relationship.
And I just want to say,
go ahead, Dolores. I'll wait.
I just want to say, based on what Pastor Cash was saying, talking about her mentorship program, and we too in the 100, we have a mentorship program, our young girls 9th through 12th grade. And it's just amazing to see them come in the 9th grade with the tennis shoes on, but by the time they leave the program, they got on pumps and driving cars. But over the years, just watching them, and so the fact that I've been a part of that organization for 15 years, we have graduated some hundreds of girls, and they've gone off to school and just doing some amazing things. I'm not in a committed mentorship relationship with anyone right now, but the ladies know they can still call on me. I still get those calls every day. I still even mentor women in the chapter, because for years I was that mentor to a lot of the girls, because being over the organization and the chapter, of course, I had played a big role in their lives and being a part of those programs. And so it was just amazing to me to watch them grow up and get new girls. We get 9th grade every year, because I like them in the 9th grade, growing up, not 10th, not 11th. You have to be in the 9th grade and come in to grow, to understand the program and to learn and grow. And I think it's just amazing. I love watching that, and still will be a mentor, and I guess in some way, but not in a committed, where you're committed, because we have to sign a contract, a committed relationship. Yeah, because we're just that serious and we're just that structure, that's how we have to do it. But I didn't want to be committed and locked down, because I have grandchildren that I'm their mentor now, and just trying to pace myself. But I'm just applauding the years I was able to do that for many years for young girls, and just still being in contact with them. And we bring them back to be a part of our programs, which is wonderful. Just to watch and knowing that you had a part in it. So for me, I do thank you, Pastor Cash, because you've done some wonderful things with your program too.
Yeah, I think when you talk about the sponsorships, it is relative in certain spaces, and I think that's it. You know, language is everything to me, and using sponsorship in certain spaces just doesn't work. It sounds very cold. It sounds unconnected, and it doesn't sound relational. So but you may in certain spaces have to use the word mentee. This is my mentee, because then people feel like, oh, you know this person, you walk with this person. But when you just have to know what space to use that term with. Say for instance, in the AME, I'm an AME minister. So in the AME arena, we wouldn't say sponsor. It would never be something that we would say. But we would say, this is, person I've been mentoring. This person is my mentee, or this is my father in ministry, my, daughter in ministry, that kind of thing, because it shows relational and it shows that I can vouch for you 110% and that I raised you. It says I raised you, and that when I send you out to do whatever it is, that you're going to do certain kind of work at certain kind of caliber because I raised you. Sponsor doesn't say that in certain settings. That just says I'm networking to get my person in. And so, but it works in certain places, in organizations, in corporate America, to be able to sponsor someone into a certain space or to get to a certain table. That absolutely, that language works. So I think we have to know when to use that language and when to not use that language. And I think for us, we got to define what that is and what that looks like, because here's the thing, it doesn't look the same for everybody. So a lot of times we may be offended because we don't feel like people are doing it, but these people don't recognize the term. And that term is not relevant to them. And so we got to know how to dance the dance in Rome and know how to dance the dance in Paris. They just don't dance the same. And sometimes these nuances that comes out, we gravitate to them because they are common in our arena. And so we think when we go outside of our arena that it works. It does not work outside of your arena. And that's the thing I think we have to be careful with. For me, I have a lot of people that maybe outside of my arena, what people will consider that I've sponsored. But I wouldn't consider that I sponsored them because it's not my language. Although I'm a person that applauded in certain arenas, I would say this is the person I have walked with. Now, the reason why that is because the way that I was raised from the person who was my mentor, he was a baby boomer. So the person that brought me into ministry, that taught me everything outside of ministry and in ministry, was a baby boomer. So my thought process about things has that kind of outlook in that kind of way. And he always, and it was a he always taught me language, and be careful of where you use it and how you use it. Know when to use it. And I think we have to, and that's good teaching for us for our mentees, that we need to teach them. And here again, I put this in again. This is where coaching doesn't work. A coach can't tell the person they coaching, you got to use certain language. You've then turned to the mentor. So that's what we grow them at, to say, if you're going to sponsor somebody, if that's the proper arena, then you need to understand what that means. Does sponsorship means that you just call their name? Does sponsorship means that you give them finances? Does sponsor mean that you drop them off into the seat and let them go to work, and you walk away from it and you go back and pick up somebody else and say, hi, this is, I'm so-and-so and I'm sponsoring him or her. So we got to know what that means and what that looks like before we go and think that is, but I agree with Pastor Cash. I agree with her saying that a lot of times what has happened with the baby boomer generation is that because they came through a certain way, and no slight, it's just true. It was a hard walk. There was a lot of things they had to endure, and a lot of times they don't really know how to do the reach back in a way that they don't have certain expectations for those of us who don't know what that era was like. Now, some of us need to do better with appreciating what people had to go through to get where they are. Because I do know there's some that we are trying to work with who don't have appreciation with the fact that that you were the only woman sitting at the table and had to do male chauvinist comments and deal with people saying you're a woman, you can't do that, or you got to sit a certain way, and you don't need to wear pants in here. That part some of us don't appreciate, but we should. But we also have to look at both sides of that some of the baby boomers are like, you didn't get it like I got it, so you got to go through it the way I went through it. And that's not right either. We have to say, listen, this is how it was for me. It was not easy. It was hard. It was difficult. It was challenging. You don't, like Joyce said, you don't have this issue. So because you don't have this issue, this is how you work it now. But there's certain things that don't change with the day of time. You're going to have a problem with men. That's not going to change. As long as it's a male dominant institution, you will deal with that. Now, how you deal with that in this day and time won't look like it did in my day and time. But what I will tell you, the premise is the same. We have to be confident. We have to know our stuff. We can't sit down there as women and don't know our stuff and then get mad when the men don't want to put another woman there because you sat there and ruined it for all the folk behind you. And I think that's important. That's important because that's what happened. We get it. This generation has gotten things so easy and microwavable that a lot of times they mess it up, and nobody wants to put another one of us back in there. Because we did not shepherd it well. And that's what's important too, that we need to shepherd it well, knowing the sacrifice of those who were in that chair before us, and to show that appreciation for that, whether we're doing it through our organizations or we're doing it outside of our organizations. Because I think we should mentor in both ways. I think, like Dolores was saying, she got her children, her grandchildren now, that she's in the mentoring process with her grandchildren. She did a lot of mentor within her organization. It goes both ways. And we have to remember that, or sponsoring, whichever way you want to coin it, we got to be careful with it.
Well, thank you so much for your feedback on that, Libby. That you brought up so many wonderful points about language, about how to make sure we're speaking about it in the right content. I think those are so important. I think a lot of things that we shared at the table tonight has liberated somebody that watched it that may have been offended by someone not agreeing to be their mentor, or offended by someone not agreeing to sponsor them, or not understanding the key component to all of those, whether it's sponsorship, mentorship, or even advocacy, is relationship. And I think that's what the whole thing we're saying tonight, is the key component to any of those is relationship. And so you heard it right here at the Grown Folks Table during Women History Month. We hope that you've enjoyed our conversation. We've kept it real tonight, ladies. Who are you sponsoring? Who are you advocating for? And who are you mentoring? Drop it in the chat for us. We'll be right back here next Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe to our website. Subscribe to our channel as well as our podcast. Good night.
Night.